They were all caught in a lie. Alright guys, so this video is regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination, but we're going to talk about Mikey McCoy's father, Rob McCoy. Now, this guy is a pastor. If I'm not mistaken, he was also prior military. Which, again, guys, if you look at the people that surrounded Charlie Kirk, it seemed like every last person was in the military in his camp, if you will. And not the younger guys, but it seems like everyone's father was in the military at some capacity. All right. Now, where the lie is coming from is the lie that a lot of people are not focusing on, which I think is very odd, especially now that we're, 2 months from Charlie Kirk being murdered. No one's asking these questions as to why Mikey McCoy behaved the way he did, which was in this video. This was very suspicious in itself. Just as soon as someone catches it in the neck, you're on the phone and you're walking away. Now, some people were saying he was live streaming, but the last time I checked, you do not live stream with your arms crossed like this. You don't. You don't live stream like this. You live stream holding your phone directly in front of you, which he wasn't doing any of that. But we already went over his odd behavior, which was even worse or odder was the fact that his father then, during a sermon at his church, decided to bring that up at a sermon with maybe a few hundred people. I don't know how many people was in his church, but I'm going to assume a few hundred, excuse me. So he decides to defend his son in church on the way he behaved. I'm sorry, there's no defending him. But it gets even worse from there. So now he's defending his son, which was bizarre. Then he lies about how he called him up immediately after Charlie Kirk was killed. I'm like, wait, what? The first thing I'm doing, I watch my buddy catching an egg. I'm running to him. I'm not walking away. I'm not I'm not dipping and diving. I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm going over to him to be like, oh shit, my buddy's hit. Let me go see what I can do. Probably not going to be able to do anything. You're probably going to get pushed out of the way by his security. But nonetheless, the normal reaction of anybody in that kind of situation is to check on their buddy. Or at the very least, duck. He didn't even duck, from what I remember. He just walked away. So that was, everybody else seemed to have went down. He just went right behind the backdrop. Then his father sits there and defends that action by saying he called him, which I would have believed if the other liar didn't step in and stated that he called her. So Erica Kirk stated that Mikey McCoy called her immediately. Really? Then who was Rob talking to? Rob Pastor, his father, was talking to somebody else. So they both lied, and nobody focused on this. Everybody's just like, well, there was a lot of confusion in the day, and things were said. No. Mikey McCoy's father, Rob McCoy, made this comment a couple of days after, and then the lie gets even better from Rob McCoy, the pastor, stating that his son is a hero, that his son was covered in blood, and that there was nowhere for it. First of all, if blood got on his son, that's the miracle blood. We'll go with that. He was already, his son, in the distance here on a phone, still on a phone call, talking to who? So, again, guys, the fact that even like Officer Tatum, right, that Uncle Tom, cornbread jive eating, monkey, if you will, sits there and goes, people react differently to different situations. I don't know anybody who reacts like that during the shooting. Hey, the normal response of all of us is to duck, a loud sound, let alone a gunshot, let alone watching your friend bleed out. Your initial reaction is to duck or run for cover. He didn't run for cover per se. He went behind a backdrop, which this is like a backdrop, right? You could bullet go right through this thing. So that he wasn't like ducking and hiding and anything. He just jumped on a phone. His phone went to his ear inside of a second of Charlie being murked, meaning he was ready for that to happen. McCoy was ready for that to happen. Nobody does this as soon as someone gets this that quickly. That means you were ready for it. You were sitting there, and yes, maybe the hand signals meant something. Now, I'm still going with the explanation of the hand signals with just them, the security guys, moving about and checking certain things that were going on. Though, there's a part of me that believes somebody in that security was on it, or I don't want to believe all of them were, but I have to believe that one or two of them were, because the way they moved, no cover, they didn't bother looking for the shooter. They just sort of operated. And one guy looked up. You'll see the guy with the black hair, glasses. He looks up and he looks over the table, but none of them scanned the area. It's like the shot went off. They jumped to Charlie, excuse me. They jumped to Charlie, and then that was it. There was no scanning of the area, which is odd. I mean, listen, I live in a city. A shot goes off, and I'm looking for the other bad guy, excuse me, not the second shooter, the other bad guy or his buddy to come and help out, because that has happened more times than not. You'll see a shooting in the street, and you'll see two guys get into it. Sometimes, or a lot of the times, there's another shooter that's the guy's friend. And then they get into it with the other dude that they're shooting out with. Now it's like 4 or 5 guys getting into it, because this is what I train myself to do. Look for the other person. These guys are in the business of protecting people. You're in the business of protecting people. The one thing I learned in executive security is as soon as something goes down, you look for the second or third threat. That might be another stabber, it might be another shooter, whatever it is. You're looking for more threats. They didn't do that. So again, back to the whole Rob McCoy, this guy outwardly lied. And again, Erica Kirk lied about who Mikey McCoy called. Now, we all want to know who he was on the phone with, because he wasn't on the phone with either of those two, because the story changed as to how Erica Kirk found out Charlie got hit. And not for nothing, the last person you're going to call is somebody's wife when Charlie just got murked. You're not going to call Erica Kirk right away to give her no answers, because you pretty much turned away and walked away. You didn't know if he was still alive. You don't know if he was dead. You don't know the status of that man. But yet that was the excuse that was given by her. And then the other excuse was given by his father, stating, oh, you know, he called us right away. He called me right away to tell me to let other preachers pray for him. What? Like, again, you didn't know the status of this man. So a lot of people are definitely involved in this. And Mikey McCoy's father, Rob McCoy, definitely implicated himself in this. Whether he knew it was going to happen or not, I don't know. But now that he sat there and lied for his son, he made himself a part of this whole conspiracy. And then you have him sitting there going, the hand signals, that doesn't mean anything. You people need to calm down. They have access to the roof. Normally they have access to the roof, but I don't know why they didn't this time. You just, again, made an accusation, or indirect accusation, excuse me, about why didn't they have access this time around when they normally do. And this came out of the pastor's mouth. So again, guys, a lot of things are being said, and yet you have the tap dancing, shuckle and jiving, you know, coon Tatum going, oh no, those are good people. What? Like, he's a cop. He should be questioning everything. But instead you got Candace Owens, who, yes, Candace Owens has been going on a warpath. Sometimes she sounds like a lunatic, and other times she's spot on. But you got to take the lunacy with what she's finding out. Now, the whole Egyptian thing, there's a little more to that, and I don't think she's aware of the, I guess, implications she's making into that, or the claims, excuse me, that she's making into that, because there's a lot more there. If there was an Egyptian flight coinciding with this, there's a lot more to it, and it still goes back to Israel. That's the one thing she's not putting together, because now she's throwing Egypt under the bus, and there's a lot more there than she knows. And I only know that because I know how Egyptians and Israel work together on a lot of clandestine missions, if you will, and they've done a lot in the past. So if she knew about that, she would know that Israel would still be behind it, even though the Egyptians are somewhat involved, or at the very least, their planes involved. But again, that's a different discussion for a different day. Now, here is the bigger problem with this entire thing. Erica Kirk, Andrew Colvett lying. Rob Pastor lying. Mikey McCoy lying. And the problem with the lying is that they've all recorded themselves at some capacity explaining what happened and all being a lie. Now, Andrew Colvett's lie was pretty telling, because he states that when Charlie Kirk got murked, that he, Mikey McCoy, was shell-shocked and just put his hands up to his head because the shot was so loud. And I guess it scared him. That's the excuse he's using. He also states that he wasn't on the phone with anybody. Meanwhile, Erica Kirk said that while she was at her mother's home, the phone didn't ring because she had it on silent, but she happened to pick the phone up and there was Mikey McCoy's number. She answers it and he tells her that Charlie got shot. So somebody's lying. Andrew's lying or Erica's lying. As far as I'm concerned, they're both lying, because now here comes Pastor Rob with his lie that I spoke about earlier. So then Mikey McCoy does his video where he tries to clear it up as well and fails at it. So now we have 4 liars all lying about the one incident that can be cleared up very easily by way of the call log. Why isn't anyone requesting that? Why isn't anyone stating, well, listen, as a detective, I'm on the scene, I'm looking at this whole thing, and I look at the video and I go, well, why did he do that? That's kind of weird. Let's see who he was calling. None of that, right? So there's no questions of the call log. Turning Point is trying their best to put this fire out by putting more lies on top of lies, and it's just starting to fall apart because, listen, guys, the internet gives us one thing that we can do. We can play back a lot of things that we see on video. And being that these idiots are now lying about everything and trying to cover up for one another, it's just looking like a pile of a mess, or a pile of shit, excuse me. And this is where people need to start questioning everything Turning Point USA does now, because everybody's a liar. I go back to, guys, everybody lied. Everybody's lying. No one's asking these questions. Again, if I was a 6-year wonder cop that failed out of cophood because I couldn't handle being a cop, I would still be asking questions, Officer Tatum. I would still be asking questions as to why did Mikey McCoy act that way? That is a huge red flag. That in itself. The fact that the security team, which normally gets access to roofs, didn't get it that day. There's a lot of questions to be asked. No one's asking it. Erica Kirk is now defending herself on how she hugged J.D. Vance. Now, do I think there was anything there with that hug? No. We were all hoping there was something there, but I didn't think. I think that's just how she is. She hugs people a little affectionately, right? So I didn't look into that. But she's defending herself over that, but not her behavior on how she responded after her husband was murdered. And the fact that she should be defending why she's not questioning the nonsense that she's being told and not being looked into things like Mikey McCoy's actions. Why did Rob McCoy lie, right? Why did she lie about McCoy calling her immediately after Charlie was murdered? So again, guys, there was a lot of lying going on, and the fact that we, who are still involved in this, who still want to know more, or at the very least, keep this subject going because they want us to forget about it. They want us to put it on the back burner. The fact that we are still asking these questions and the fact that no one else is leads me to believe that there are more people involved than we think. It's not just Turning Point USA. There's a lot more at stake here. Granted, though, Turning Point USA, they have a money issue now, and I want to see if that's going to pop up on the radar, because if they don't bring that into the court hearing or the court case at all, then this is all fixed. Then they're trying to blame everything on Tyler Robbins and not even looking at Turning Point USA and the money issues and the money laundering that seem to have been going on. Other than that, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.